talking about it and do something!
Suck my dick, Earth, with that bullshit.
Really?
It's like a gentle hate.
Do we have another benevolent star here? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Are you benevolent if your friend was?
My name is Logan Paul, and I think I'm coming out of the flat earth closet.
This is so fucking depressing. I can't be a flat earth person.
You can't have it both ways. You can't have a flat earth and things making sense.
Good evening, YouTube, and welcome to another edition of Jem's Flat Earth Sunday Roast. We're back once again with the show they don't want you to see. In tonight's show, we've got double TikTok as the flatness continues to infect the platform. Take a breath there. Double CC in a Westchester County extravaganza. Did you see what I did there? And Double Dell as Scotland's favourite weather girl flat smacks a university. All this and more in tonight's awesome show, so please stick around. I am your host, Jem, and as always, joining me with their insightful and humorous commentary are just some of the cool kids from the Debate Flat Earth and More Discord server. Good evening, gentlemen.
Are you benevolent?
I think we're all the cool kids.
All the cool
kids. Yeah, that's right.
Jem, I don't know if you want to switch it over to the other view.
Yes, we're going. Hold on.
Yeah. Anyways, you said CC's going to be in this one?
He is.
I love those guys. I love that guy's clips. He has like the greatest, the most fruitful clips. The clips you can rewatch.
Yes, we've got some good stuff. A big show, actually. I thought, how am I going to scrape together a show out of the goings on in the last couple of weeks? But it's not a bad one. 13 clips, an hour and 15 minutes of solid.
Sounds exciting.
Solid flatness to watch. Pretty much solid flatness, actually, this week. Yes. Having said that, as you're making these things, occasionally you come across something and you think, that would be a brilliant clip to show if only it had anything to do with my show. And, oh, hang on, shit, we're still not seeing ourselves, are we? Hang on, sorry. There we are. So, one such clip is this one that I've just thrown in. It's got absolutely nothing to do with conspiracies. I just thought it was funny. So, to kick off, enjoy a little civil disobedience. Oh my God, now what's happened? Right. It's coming up, guys. Right now.
You fucking cunt. Go on, get him. Go on, son. Oh, he's on him, he's fucked. He's gone down the pier, he's fucked. He's fucked, he's gone down the pier now. He ain't getting away. He ain't going nowhere, he's fucked. He's got two options. Yeah, he's finished. Is he going to try to swim off? Oh no. Oh, he's caught him. Oh, what's he going to go jump in? What's he playing at? No. Oh, he's fucking dashed him in the fucking water! Yes! He thrown him in! He's fucked! You fucking legend! Funny cunt! He's coming! Oh no! Oh, Chavy ain't giving up. I can't believe it's up there, mate. Come on. You're a bit slow, sir. You're a bit slow, sir. He went that way, you drip.
I'm sorry, I couldn't resist throwing that one in. I just love the line at the end. He went that way, you drip.
You legend.
That's exactly what I was thinking when I saw that. When he said "you legend," I was like, "That guy's a fucking legend." But yeah, this should be on a commercial for UK because you can't in America. You can't have any kind of fun like this with cops. You know.
Well, I don't think you're supposed to here, Gosho.
Awesome.
I'm pretty sure it's against the law to throw a policeman in the ocean.
Well, it's good to know that they have top-notch policemen there.
Yeah, I don't know, but I think he looked like maybe we have these community support officers, they call them. They're sort of volunteer cops, and I think he may have been one of those because I don't know. They usually their uniform doesn't fit usually. I don't know what, but he looked like one of those guys. Maybe, possibly. I don't know. You'd expect if he was a copper, you'd expect there to be another one in right behind him or something.
Even like a Bobby.
Yeah, a proper policeman. Community support officers, sort of, it's voluntary, and they sort of help police out for various things. A lot of it they do is parking infractions and things like that. They deal with that sort of thing. But the idea was, I think, to it's always an election issue. Is Bobby's on the beat, a phrase you hear here, where people want to. I think they believe that law and order, if it's being successfully done, it means that you see policemen hanging around, on the streets, and this was a way of doing that. I think, to have people in uniform around communities.
Yeah, well, it may backfire.
Yeah, well, yeah, yeah. Anyway, I thought I'd throw that one in because it just made me laugh. So,
yeah, it's funny.
Why not? Anyway, now for a little Q-tardery. Enjoy.
When it came out, it was Corona, right? Corona. Corona is 6 letters. When you use gematria and you say A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, and you put Corona lined out at 666. So that's 666. But we found that out. So they're saying the white wing crazies found it out, so they changed it to COVID-19, which is C. What is this? C, right?
To C, yeah.
Ovid, look it up. Ovid means sheep. 19, military code for surrender. C, sheep, surrender. That's no joke.
Wow, that is actually the first I've heard of that.
So, a quick one there, but yeah, see, sheep, surrender. It's all in the code, apparently.
Ovid.
Only in America, I say.
Was that like a news anchor or a news dude?
It's from a channel called The Good Liars. And they do a lot of this sort of thing where they've got another great one, actually, where they go to sort of anti-abortion protest, and they start interviewing people at this anti-abortion protest, and they say, well, what are the alternatives to abortion? And of course, they all say adoption. They all say it. So they've got all these clips of them saying adoption. And then he starts asking them, he gets them to say that alternative is adoption. And they say, okay, how many children have you adopted? None. And he's like with, like 6 women. And he goes from one to the next. Okay, how many have you adopted? None. How many have you adopted? None. And it just makes them look really hypocritical because they're all saying people should adopt. And yet he can't find a single one anywhere that's adopted anyone. But they do a lot of this sort of, the Good Liars, they turn up at Trump protests and things like that, and
I gotta check those guys out.
Yeah, they're funny. They do a lot of this where they get them to commit to one thing and then ask them about another. Like, for instance, they've got another clip where he asked the guy who the president of the USA is, and he's a Trumpster. You know, he says, "Oh, Trump's the real president," and then he leads him on to something else. I think they're talking about gas prices. You know, and he said it's all down to Biden. He said, well, why is it down to Biden? Isn't it down to Trump? I thought Trump was in charge. And he's going, no,
Right.
well, you don't get it. You need to look into it. You know,
Right.
You know, they do a lot of that. It's funny anyway. The Good Liars. They're on. I'm pretty sure it's on YouTube, but they're definitely very active on Twitter. Anyway, I know that.
Any liar you tell me about, I'm just worth checking out. So,
right, I think. Oh, sorry. Go on. If you're gonna.
That was bad advice, Kosho. Don't listen to liars.
Okay, well, I think I've written something down that's wrong here, maybe. So I'm hoping I'm introducing the right clip now. Let's hope for the best. So, as Flat Earth dies on YouTube, it has found new life on TikTok. Here is a double helping of the rampant flat-tardery that exists there. Enjoy.
All right, TikTok, and my friends, followers, I'm gonna need y'all help with this one. So the first thing I want you to do is turn your phone to the side. Take a look at this. This was taken in 1972. This is the only clue that I have for the name of this particular map. 1972 Flat Earth Secret Work Shield USA Archives. So here it is again. Just take a good look at it. It looks like it's a satellite image of the Earth. We know it, but it's like an overview of it. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you notice in the top right-hand corner, there's a spot that's marked off, like it's purposely blocked off. That's how the map came, you know what I'm saying? Now that image said it was made in 1972, right? And Apollo 17, which was the final moon landing, just so happened to be in 1972. I have no idea.
So one of the Globe Earth girls wanted to ask me a few questions. She thinks that it's silly that I believe that the Earth is flat. I can't answer all of your questions, but a few of them I definitely can. For starters, you asked me about the seasons. I think that's every Globe Earther's favorite go-to, and I'm about to answer it. But before that, let's consider how seasons work on a globe Earth. When the Earth is furthest away from the sun, at 94 million miles, it is summer because the Earth's tilt is facing the sun. Does that make sense? No. When the sun is closest to the Earth, at only 91 million miles away, it is winter because the Earth is tilted away from the sun. Does this make sense? Hell no. What you are essentially saying and agreeing with is that even though the Earth is an extra 3 million miles away, it is hotter than it would be if it was 3 million miles closer because of a 23.5 degree tilt. With flat Earth, this is very logical. As I said before, the Earth is stationary and the sun moves around the Earth. The sun is in the Tropic of Cancer. What you call the Northern Hemisphere is experiencing summer, while the Tropic of Capricorn, or the Southern Hemisphere, is experiencing winter. When the sun is in the Tropic of Capricorn, the Southern Hemisphere experiences summer, while the Northern Hemisphere experiences winter. When the sun leaves a tropic, the area experiences fall. And when the sun moves toward a tropic, the area experiences spring. And the areas near the equator are always warm. Does that make sense? Now, you mentioned gravity pulling things down or whatnot. Gravity cannot even hold down my hair. It has nothing to do with gravity and everything to do with density. If something is heavier than air, it falls. If something is lighter than air, it floats. Same thing with water. Google, how does a boat float? And it will tell you. Because the air inside of a ship is less dense than the water. You asked me what did they have to gain from lying to us about a globe Earth. That's like asking me what does a pastor have to gain from finessing people in a pulpit. NASA gets over $23 billion in 1 year. Also take perception into consideration. If I tell you you are smaller than an ant in this universe, you mean nothing. But if I tell you that the universe revolves around you, that changes the game. And lastly, you asked me how much of science and everything in history do I have to deny? A vast majority of it. We have to use our common sense.
So before I start, I want to make it very clear that I am not a flat earther. These are just the reasons why I don't make fun of them anymore. So first off, I'll start with the stars. In the entire human history, they've never changed, never moved. But supposedly, we're flying through the universe at X amount of miles an hour. Polaris never moves, and it seems like everything rotates around Polaris. Polaris is also said to get its energy directly from the black sun. The black sun has also been taught throughout human history. Also the moon. The moon's light is colder in its light than it is in the shade. This can only mean one of two things. That it's emitting its own light, or it's reflecting from a third body that we are yet to discover. Also, after years of being laughed at, and flat earthers were saying that gravity is fake, and that dark energy and dark matter were just created to fill the holes that gravity created in the math, it's starting to come out that they are indeed fake. Now, I'm going to go on into part 2. I want to let you guys know now, I don't know what I believe, because I've never seen the Earth from above. So I won't be arrogant and think I know.
Outer space is completely fake. It is impossible to leave the Earth. The Earth is a closed system with a dome surrounding the entire flat Earth plane. It's known as the firmament. And you can't get through. They've tried. The United States government has tried to get through the firmament. It's impossible. Look up Operation Fishbowl. They actually tried to crack a hole in the firmament or dome using nuclear bombs. They couldn't do it. Richard Branson, he never went to space. Elon Musk never sent a car into space. We never went to the moon. The moon landing is completely fake. Why do you think we've never gone back? NASA said they destroyed the technology? That makes no sense. You can't leave the Earth because of the firmament.
What's a conspiracy theory that you 1,000% believe in?
That the Earth is flat, that we live in a firmament, that nothing leaves the firmament, which means we've never been to the moon, that we do not live on a spinning globe that orbits the sun, that the sun and the moon and the stars are actually within the firmament, that we are at the center of the universe, and that people who have position of power in this world are a bunch of devil-worshipping liars. Why, you say? Do they go through such great lengths to lie to us? Why fabricate this elaborate story? Because the devil wants nothing more than for God's people to think that we are nothing, that we are just a speck of dust in this world, that there are billions of other Earths out there, that there are other universes out there and other planets out there, and that God is billions and billions of miles away from us. When in reality, God is not billions of miles away. He is right here with us, and we are at the center of his universe.
So, excuse me, that was some TikTok for you. I don't know, what did you guys think to that lot?
I gotta download TikTok. You know, that one dude at the beginning, he said the thing about the Apollo moon landing. Because I was like following him because he seemed like, you know, he needs to be listened to or whatever. And but it just didn't make sense.
72.
Yeah, it didn't make sense what he said because he said that the picture was from 1972, and he's like, that's the same year that the moon landing happened, isn't it?
Right.
So, is he implying that we went to the moon and came back and took that picture?
I think that was where he was going, yeah. But I think what a lot of them do, and you saw a bit of it there, is they sort of, like you saw the guy say, well, I'm definitely not a flat earther. And quite a few of them open with something like that. They're just asking questions, you know what I mean? They're not actually the flat earther, but these questions can't be answered, this sort of thing, you know?
This is why I don't make jokes about them anymore.
Most of the questions did have answers. He had the wrong answers, though.
Right. I mean, he was so messed up, wasn't he? I mean, they all are. And I think that's the other thing as well that really strikes me about this is most of the people are really, well, they're really dumb. They just are, you know? They're just really stupid sounding kids, mostly. You know, and I don't know.
That third person, she was going through, she had an incredible string of wrong going, and then suddenly everything she was saying was correct. And then at the end of it, she finished that with absolutely wrong conclusions based on everything correct she had just said.
Yeah.
That was a bit confusing.
Yeah.
You're talking about the one who she was a flat earther, but her hair's shaped like a globe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if gravity, her hair would
Yeah.
fall, right?
Can't even keep my hair down.
That's a new one. But what do you think though that there's because there was a lot of like these. There's like the American Dell looking guy, but there's a lot of these faces that we never heard or seen any of these people.
Right.
So, do you find it surprising, like it's growing, or it's like we don't know about these people?
It's definitely growing. Yeah. I mean, even in the time that I've been going there, which is pretty limited, probably I don't know about the last 8 months, a year maybe. Even in that time, there's so much more flat Earth stuff on there now.
Can you send Discord invites on TikTok?
Yeah, you could do, yeah.
Invite these people who just made these videos that you showed.
Yeah, I should do that, yeah.
Well, I told you your server you can invite somebody just by doing the regular Discord invite and then just put Jim Panda as the link.
Right, yeah. Yeah, the short link thing, yeah.
What's Chemo doing? He's in charge of recruiting.
Yeah, well, he goes on there. He's always going on about TikTok, isn't he? But
well, he's not bringing these clowns in. Tell them to get to work.
It's funny, though, TikTok as well. It has these sort of, what would you call it? These sort of, like the bit of music that you hear in the background. I mean, I guess they've got a library of music, and it's very limited, because you often hear that strange sort of, I guess it's supposed to sound strange sort of music that we heard in the background of at least one of those clips. And I can remember hearing it on a couple of the artificial sun ones that we showed on the last show or the show before. So and then you have that voice sometimes, that sort of artificial voice that asks a question, or there's just certain characteristics to it that, you know what I mean, that are always there or are often there, you know. Anyway,
I'm not like.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm saying I'm not because my girlfriend, she's always on Facebook. I guess it's the same thing as TikTok, but it's just like Facebook stream or whatever. I've only been on TikTok a few times, but I bet you they do have those features that you can just add to these clips, because it does seem like that first dude. It seemed like it was kind of like from a movie a little bit. Like he was talking to you from like a telephone, but it was almost like it's like that scene at the end of the Matrix where he's like talking to you through the phone, and it's like someone's telling you this, like, inviting you to this secret world or whatever. So, I think those features are included in the app.
Yeah. You'll see some more now, because as this is probably too much of a bad thing, but here is more TikTok nonsense. Enjoy.
You know who this guy is? Let me tell you about him. Auguste Piccard was the first man to ever enter the stratosphere, years before NASA ever existed. And he did it in this thing. Now, if you look him up, you'll see that he was the first person to observe the curvature of the Earth. And in his journal, he wrote that the Earth was as a flat disc with upturned edges. Kind of a weird way to describe curvature, don't you think? He observed this 10 miles up into the sky, which is in the stratosphere, and 35,000 feet is the commonly accepted height at which you are able to observe curvature. He was at 55,000 feet. Was this guy a definitive flat earther? No. And neither is this proof for a flat earth, but it makes you wonder. He's a scientist, man. He observed it.
Whenever you poke a hole in the heliocentric model, in the belief of ball earth, globe earthers will come back with one word typically: gravity. 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 It's the magic word they use as a response to anything they can't explain. How come, supposedly, if the ball earth is real, we have people upside down below us in China, if you're in America or Australia, whatever? They say, oh, because of gravity. Well, how come gravity's powers are selective? How come a balloon or a butterfly can easily defy gravity, yet simultaneously gravity is holding the oceans to the ball earth? An amount of weight you cannot even fathom. Gravity is not real. The ball earth is not real. The earth is flat.
We've all seen this.
We've all seen the moon during the day. Have you noticed that you can see blue sky on the other side of the moon during the day? However, this should be impossible. The moon is not over 200,000 miles away like the scientist liars say. The same scientist liars say that the atmosphere extends at most 6,000 miles. Then the sky goes from blue to black. If that's the case, why can we see blue sky behind the moon if the moon is 200,000 miles away? It's right in front of your face. The moon is not far away, it's close. 3,000 miles away, 4,000 at most. The earth is not a ball, it is flat.
Antarctica is not what you've been told. Antarctica is not a continent. It is not a giant ice mass at the bottom of the ball Earth. I know this is going to trigger a lot of people, but I'm going to give you the truth. Antarctica is actually a giant ice wall surrounding the entire flat Earth, holding in the oceans. I know you've probably never looked into Antarctica, but I have. And there's more red flags than a communist parade. First of all, it's illegal to go to Antarctica for independent exploration. You can only go to one point. All the countries agreed on only one thing ever in history, and it was to save the penguins. And if you try to fly over Antarctica, they will literally shoot you down and kill you.
Is the world flat? Why do some believe Earth looks like this? This is a pretty standard picture. When you look at the ocean, the horizon's pretty flat. The flat earthers wonder, why doesn't the ocean have a little curve? We also know satellites can't take the whole picture of the Earth, so they basically take little pictures and put them all together to create the picture of the globe. So this originally is little snippets of pictures put together to create this globe picture. According to the Bible, this is how the Earth looks like. There's a firmament, which is basically a big dome, so it basically divides the land and the sea. In Revelation 7:1, it said there were angels at four corners of the Earth. Realistically, it doesn't really matter if the Earth is flat or not, because gravity is a theory, not a law. And this is something science can't explain. But flat earthers mainly believe that it's not the Big Bang theory that brought us here on Earth. And the Big Bang's basically a massive explosion that created the current matter from past matter, and somehow we just developed from dust, saying humans are on Earth by accident. But rather, we were created here from a higher being, like God, and we all serve a purpose as to why we're here. So it doesn't really matter if the Earth is flat or not.
9. I just want y'all to see something real quick. Just real quick, if you got time. Just real quick. Let's both watch.
We're throttling back up to full power as we're through max Q.
Copy, 1 Bravo.
And we heard that 1 Bravo call out. That's just the second abort zone that they're in. They'll continue to be on this until the first stage has done its job and they switch over to the second. At this point, Bob and Doug pulling about two.
Whoa, wait a minute. Wait. Y'all been on the plane before, right? Even when you riding on the runway, about to take off, and even when you take off, don't that force shake you up a little bit? You shaking, right? Trying to come off the ground, climbing through the wind, climbing through clouds. These motherfuckers are not even moving. Somebody in the control room fucked up and put the camera back in their camera angle, and when the rocket is fucking moving 1,500 miles per hour and these dudes are just sitting there chilling, plucking their fingers, looking at they not even going nowhere. They not, oh my Lord Jesus, bro. Like I can't be the only one. They not even going nowhere. And you see how quickly they took the camera off? Do you see how quick they took it off?
1,500
Holy
miles per
hell.
hour.
Holy hell, indeed. Excuse me. More from TikTok there. It's the same old shit, isn't it? Let's face it. It's, as Curb said in the chat there, 2015 all over again. I mean, it's just those same tired old silliness and misunderstandings, right?
What was that last guy complaining about? He didn't think like it looked like they were moving in that shot?
Yeah, they weren't moving around enough, apparently.
It's bumpy, man. They should be shaking.
Yeah.
You would think that one of them would at least be like flying around the, being tossed around and stuff, but yeah, they're not even moving. You know that I said this in the last clip because I thought that guy looked like an American Dell, at least when he's not wearing glasses. That tree, I guess his name Tree Yoga or something like that. Kind of a weird name, but anyways, and then the first guy in the clip looked like sort of like a fat Jaren mixed with ODD, but with like a toupee on.
Wow, that's really an insult.
Well, it's just funny though, but these people all they look like they're all around my age.
They look like they're all related too.
Yeah, it's just it's weird because like I mean I said this before, but like where are these people? Like I mean, are they in like another community where they're talking about this stuff? I mean, I guess they wouldn't be because they would probably be further. Their arguments would probably be further ahead, right?
No, everybody hops on this train at different intervals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. But if you hopped on this train, let's say if you were one of these people and you went to 24/7, I think it'd be only a couple days before you were done with that argument, right? Those arguments.
Well, you'd probably be kicked out for using such old arguments. So you would never find out about the new arguments. That's what I think the experience would be like.
I don't know. They use a fair number of old arguments in there, I think.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Can we take a moment to highlight the guy who thought the moon should be black behind it or whatever because it was so far away?
Right.
He said the blue sky, shouldn't have made the moon blue because it should be further away.
What?
I know. I don't know how they figure this stuff out.
I just couldn't interpret any of it.
It's going to get worse for you, VD. We've got Dell coming up later. And you know
I think I have Dell muted, right?
You know how you can always understand every single word he says.
But wait, if there's blackness behind the blue, shouldn't we see the blackness instead?
Maybe we should see black and blue.
What if you look at it with bifocals?
Who knows? Who knows what he thinks?
Hey, real quick, just because it's such a pet peeve of mine, and I rail about flat earthers and their ridiculously unrealistic expectations of curvature, and that woman, fortunately, she put that picture of the curved horizon, and said this is what it should look like if the Earth is a sphere.
Right.
I mean, it's not even implied. She just outright stated it, showed it, and I would just like one time for one of those people to show me why, when you're down near the Earth like that, standing at the beach, basically looking out at the horizon, why it should curve in that fashion.
Dell used to often make that argument that you should see buildings leaning away from each other was one of his favorites.
Yeah, that's compounding the stupid there.
Yeah, he doesn't really say that very often anymore, but occasionally it sneaks in. The other thing she said was, gravity's never been proven, it's just a theory, and science can't explain that. That's
well, it was written.
That's true.
It was written.
It's I think we've had her on before, actually. I think that clip's been in before. Anyway, I've got another visit to TikTok now, but it's a bit different this time. Rather than a collection of clips, we've got a single short clip with a slightly new take on flat smacking street epistemology. Enjoy this.
Round or flat?
Round.
Round?
Yeah.
It's obvious, right? No question?
No question at all.
Okay, so how can you prove that to me right now?
I can't right now. I don't know how I'd prove it to you right now. Do you want me to pull out my phone and show you stuff on the internet? Because that's what I can do. 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 That's what I can
Like, just give me like some facts or like some statements that like proves that the Earth is round. Like without showing me an image of the Earth. Can you do that?
Off the top of my head, no.
Prove to you right now that it's round? Huh.
I don't know. Probably couldn't really. I cannot prove that. I just went to school and they say that to me, and suppose that's real.
We've been told that our whole lives, so I can't prove anything.
Look at a tall ship sailing out over the water. Eventually you'll start to lose sight of the bottom of the ship to the point where all you can see is the very top of the mast because of the curvature of the earth. Curvature of the earth.
You show them how the math works for the curvature of the earth. Curvature of the earth. Curvature of the earth. How you're not going to be able to see something once it's past a particular point on the horizon via the curvature. Curvature.
You can just tell by looking if you can see the distance. There is natural curvature to the earth.
Yeah, so a new take on flat smacking there, I thought. It's sort of kind of really is the bottom of the barrel in flat smacking terms, where you just demand that people prove things to you while they're walking around in the street. Not any specific argument or anything like that. Just prove it's a globe while you're standing there.
Where's the outcry from the Platties who always like to shout out their fallacies about on-the-spot fallacy?
Right, and it's just profoundly dishonest approach, I think. I would have just said to him, well, prove bananas are yellow. He wouldn't have been able to, I mean, how can you prove things? And then he said, just give me some statements or facts that prove the Earth's a globe. I mean, I guess you could say 2 celestial poles, but then he'd go, oh, and there's only one pole.
It's funny though.
Go ahead.
The guy who the guy who had the first actual evidence, because everybody else you can't show them pictures. You're not allowed to show pictures. You got to use statements. And so, anyways,
right.
The first guy who was brought evidence of the boats, disappearing over the horizon. Looked like he just was like robbing a bank or something. He's like wearing those gloves and carrying that bag. He's like, you just caught him on the way back from a bank robbery. Yeah, all those people all seem like they were in the middle of, commuting because they're at a train station or something like that. Trying to get a sandwich or something. This guy's like bothering you.
Yeah, I mean, one of them as well, the guy towards the end, he said something like, oh, you tell them about the curvature maths. And they'd obviously edited, all of what he said there. That wasn't his complete sentence. And he sounded like someone who had, I'm thinking from that, who'd probably engaged with flat earthers before and was talking about their tactics to avoid facing the evidence, I think. And I suspect whatever he said that was useful was cut out there, I think.
Did it tell him about the curvature mass? Is that what you said?
He said something like that. His line was, you try and tell them about the curvature, the maths for the curvature, or something along those lines, he said. But it sounded like he was recounting a conversation rather than,
I think it was cut that way to make it sound like that.
Right,
Yeah.
maybe.
Well, did you get a load of the size of that ship that appeared to be partially obstructed by curvature? but then he zoomed in on it?
I mean,
Those were terrible images. I couldn't make
Right.
anything out.
Yeah, he says, from 30 miles away, Toronto shouldn't be visible. I was like, it's not.
Right.
You can't see anything that fit the image.
Yeah, and again, it's just 2015 all over again, isn't it? Just on there now. But
You guys seem like you were scarred by 2015. What happened?
well, that was when it all began for me, I think, certainly, and for a lot of people. In fact, at the time, they used to call that the second wave, because there'd been these sort of flat earthers, some of them that had been around for years, and some of them that had sort of kicked off, like early 2015, maybe late 2014. And then suddenly you got this influx of people in sort of September 2015 was when it really took off. And that's when I joined it, and a lot of other people kind of started following it then.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Are you starting to get the impression that this is another wave of these, because these people, not just based on the fact that we haven't seen them before, but based on their arguments and, everything about them seems like they're very fresh, like brand new to the
I
whole
think
thing.
so, yeah. I think they are. Yeah, I think they are. I think it's, I'll say I predicted this as well, because I think that when people went into lockdown and they started spending more time on the internet, and they were frightened, and they got
more paranoid.
Yeah, they started looking for simple answers to complex problems, and they found conspiracy theories. And I think for some of them it was, masks don't work, or lockdowns are ineffective, and then for others it was, vaccine stuff. And then from that, it led them into other things. And we saw that happening last, was it last summer? The summer before, where we were watching these protests where you got the QAnons and the anti-abortionists and the flat earthers and the Brexiteers and, Save Our Children and all of these different conspiracy theories, all, congregating for this one cause. And so I think that all of that stuff, I think it led people to it. And some of them, they didn't stop at the entrance to the rabbit hole. They kept going and found flat Earth,
Yeah, clearly. It's crazy. I think my girlfriend might be a part of the third wave.
Is she a flat earther now?
I told you, she just told me the other morning, we were having breakfast, and she told me she was just watching a clip, or she just saw a clip on her Facebook or whatever, of a 100-year-old woman, and she was saying the Earth was flat, and I was like, I knew exactly the clip she was talking about. It was the one with David Weiss. And she just popped up in her feed and stuff like that. She's saying it to me like it's,
Well, I think there's actually a cry out for help, Kosho. You spend so much time with flat earthers, she's just going to become one to get your attention.
Yeah, I wouldn't complain.
That would get your attention, though, wouldn't it? I mean, you would just you would never let up, would you?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't argue it. I mean, it'd be kind of fun.
Yeah. All right, shall we move on? Veteran flatty Renee treated us to this video where he apparently tried and failed to learn a new word. Enjoy.
Hello, Pablo. How are you? This new look that I have.
Let's see how you look with that. Dude.
That's right, brothers and sisters, children of the world, of this beautiful non-rotating flat earth. Do not believe the indoctrination. Your teacher is just regurgitating. Word of the day, regurgitation. Is just repeating like a parakeet. That's right. I don't know why people love doing that, but God gave you a beautiful, amazing own mind. You have free will to speak, to say whatever you want, to make an observation, to see into the horizontal horizon, our beautiful horizontal horizon, not a curved horizon. Here in our real world, on our non-rotating Earth, we see perfect repetitions of astrological events. That's right, because we're not on a spinning ball lost in the vacuum of space, tumbling towards a black hole. No, in reality, brothers and sisters, Earth is a paradise, and that's your inheritance. Just make an observation and see where the sun appears in the morning and disappears into the vanishing point. Every day performing the analema. That's right, brothers and sisters. The analema is the infinity sign. That can only happen when the Earth is actually stationary, meaning non-moving, non-rotating. We are the center of the universe. You are special. Do not believe the indoctrination. Question everything. And remember, God make you perfect on a beautiful, stationary, flat earth. And please, avoid the ineffective, experimental, toxic. Be smarter and remember, do not wear a diaper on your beautiful face. Don't be afraid to share your beautiful smile every day. Share your beautiful smile, then you don't have to wear 2 diapers on your beautiful face. God made you perfect with a perfect natural immunity. God bless you. I love you.
He is just the creepiest fucker ever, isn't he? And why was he wearing that ridiculous mask? What point was that supposed to make? I have no idea.
Just remember, you're here on the beautiful flat plane, non-spinning.
He's wearing that to mock the regurgitating
Yeah.
pair of kits.
Yeah. He actually titled this video Word of the Day Regurgitation. And then proceeded to say it incorrectly twice.
It's kind of it's interesting to think about what his agenda was that day, because he's in a van with this I don't know who this other guy is, but maybe they're looks like they're doing drugs or they're on a stakeout in the van,
Yeah,
out of the alleyway, and
The van you would store like ice cream in or something.
yeah, like there's a leaf blower in the back. He's wearing like a hat like Elton John or something like that. And then he has this penguin mask on that looks like he made.
and it just goes to reinforce that inside a car or van is the Flat Earth recording studio. Why is that?
Yeah, I heard someone say that once. I think it was Omniaris said the mad ones always do it from their car. Something along those lines. And I think there's some truth to that rule.
Well, I mean, they got wives. Well, although I don't think he's
They
not
need
in
a
that
bubble.
category though.
They need a bubble in which they can yell their crazy propaganda to themselves. The car is the perfect one.
Yeah, they have to escape their roommates. They have to escape their relatives. They have to escape their wives. And since they rent a small apartment, that's the only place they can let background even be on camera.
Well,
he's showing us that even the car is not private. You know, he had that
He's
dude
doing it while he's driving. That's not good.
That's a great segue because we've got Cece coming next, actually. And he's not in his car.
Ooh.
My
How about
gosh.
that?
Outrageous.
It's
Can I
in
put a
fact.
quick question.
Yeah, go
before we
ahead.
move on?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, this is not intended for discussion, but just for deep thought. I'm wondering if you're viewing the flat Earth from the perspective of the sun doing the analema, would you view the path of an airplane to be affected by infinite Coriolis. Thank you very much. Let's move on.
God. I think we should have a complete ban on the word Coriolis for the next 24 hours.
Just one person needs to be banned from saying that word.
Because for some reason, people felt the need to discuss it for, I don't know, what was it, 16 hours or something today that was going on for? I don't know. Anyway.
You know who brought it back?
Who was it? Who was it? Jeremy, I'll bet.
The J-Man.
Yeah, I'll bet, yeah. All right, double Cece now. First, in perfect timing with the recent equinox, Cece conducts an experiment.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be. CC here, Chris, from New York, Westchester County. It's March 20th, 2022, the equinox. Equinoxes get their name from Latin for equal night, and mark the only 2 points in the year when the equator is the closest part of Earth to the sun, with both northern and southern hemispheres sharing sunlight equally. Well, we all know that's bullshit because we don't live on the fucking planet. Hey, okay? So here we are. It's now 11:30 in the PM hour. Let's just get the Verizon time right now. Yeah, we're at 11:29 right now. Okay. I've been standing up some coins here just to show you my skills. Here's a quarter. Okay. Nickels are pretty easy. Dimes are the most difficult. But, okay, so those are my skills in terms of balancing things so they stand upright. Now, I can't seem to get this egg. Just your conventional egg, brown egg. Okay. To do that, at all. Now, this is the fat end right here. $11:33, guys. That's when it's happening. Oh, and by the way, the Equinox Hotel in the city in Manhattan is on Highland Road, and it's 33 Highland Road. Those bastards. I love that number. Okay. Almost got it. Because I've been trying this for the last 2 or 3 days now. Okay. I am shocked because I haven't even been able to come close to this. Get the fuck out of here. You didn't hear that? We're approaching 11:33 right now. I'll fix it. Don't worry about it. You know, no, it's not happening. All right, well, that didn't work on my end here at the equinox peak time. Does that prove anything? No. It doesn't prove shit. If it did stand upright, I don't know. I don't know what it would have proven at all. But I do know one thing. I do know something about sound. And sound travels at 1,100 feet per second. Okay. Now, the so-called ball that you live on revolves around 1,000 miles per hour. 1,100 feet per second is equivalent to 750 miles per hour. Okay, which doesn't make any sense to me, because if I'm looking at a plane that's 35,000 feet in the sky, how could I possibly ever hear the sound of that plane while we're revolving on this ball? Anyway, so that was my equinox experiment, which failed. The egg didn't stand up right, so I don't know. Whatever. Doesn't prove anything, but alright, thank you for subbing. Thank you for viewing my videos and letting me be a part of your life.
So that was Cece there, establishing nothing with his experiment.
My God. This is what a man looks like before he's about to get divorced by his wife.
I don't.
This is so sad.
I don't know if
He's
this
crying
is.
out for attention here, Gosho. What do you have to say about it?
I don't know if this is a because I got a different impression. I don't think this is a new phenomena. Okay, I don't want to say anything. I don't know this guy's life or anything, but I noticed that when you see him in his car, he's got a look on his face. Anytime you see him in his kitchen, he has a look of fear in his eyes.
Right.
Have
He's
you
looking
noticed
over his
it?
shoulder the entire time because his wife is home.
Yeah, it's and then he's in the kitchen fucking showing us his skills, fucking balancing eggs. It looks like, I mean, I don't want to judge this guy's personal life, but I don't think he's gotten laid from his wife, at least, in over a decade.
Astute observation.
Why would she bang that idiot?
Balanced the egg.
He can't even center his table there under his clock. What's the deal with that? That was bugging me to no end.
You got OCD.
As well, if you look closely as well, when he's balancing the egg, almost every time he's got it leaning towards it. So it's like he doesn't seem to realize, but it was almost never upright.
Do you think that he was trying to imply something to do with the equinox and supposed to
Equinox was
maybe
going
make
to
it
let
easier to
him.
balance?
Yeah, the Equinox is going to let him balance it for some
I think
reason.
that was the idea. Yeah, that at that moment it was suddenly going to be able to balance for some reason.
He breaks it.
Know how to communicate his ideas.
I can't believe he broke it. It was just so, just so obvious he would do that at some point, and you just think, how did it end up in the actual video? Why didn't you take that out of the video?
That's what I was going to say. That's why I don't want to make fun of him too much, because I don't want him to stop making these videos. He makes these very candid videos that nobody would post. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
These are my skills, and he fails at that. He's like bouncing quarters and eggs and stuff. But yeah, I don't even know what the point of that video was supposed to be. Like, why did he make a
didn't
video?
either, though, did he? He said, but he didn't prove anything. I don't know what it would have proven.
But when it comes to Candid, why did he publish or let out the video where his wife calls him an idiot? I don't know how that got online.
Right.
He's like,
it must have been live, right?
I don't. Well,
He
yeah.
has no shame.
Although he doesn't normally do stuff live, does he?
Oh shit! I didn't know that. Dude.
He did. He used to appear on some hangouts and stuff. When hangouts were happening, he went on Roxanne's and a few. He would sort of. If a new streamer, a new Flat Earth streamer came around, he would always be sort of hanging around them and be their friend. And then all of a sudden, he wasn't their friend. It was. I don't know, but.
One reason to post it is if he were a complete Poe. But I don't know enough about him to say I believe that he is, but it would be fitting. If I were a Poe, I would certainly post that.
Yeah, but if you were Poe, would you have gotten into that road rage incident with a complete stranger?
Right.
And,
Yeah.
He wouldn't gone all the way, huh?
All right, well,
All around me, I'm filming here.
Right, more CC now. And amongst other things, he has some important analysis of the war in Ukraine.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be. CC here, Chris, from New York, Westchester County. It's 2/27/22. Sorry I missed that historic day, 2222. Interesting numbers. Anyway. When you get a chance today, I'd like you to visit the live cams that are out there in Kiev. And I want you to take a look at them. And you tell me, where are the bombs? Oh, shh. Keep it down to a minimum. Come on, this isn't sandbox time. This is serious times now. And I'm talking to you. So, well, I'm sorry. Did you wake up? No, we want you to sleep. Go back to sleep. Don't wake up. Don't think any of this is fake or anything like that. No, we need you to sleep. We need you to rah the Mars mission and the moon mission. We need you to buy things. We need you to be trained like the trained rat that you are. I'm sorry. That's what we need. We need people like this, so don't wake up. Go back to sleep. Go back to sleep. Come on, trust me. It's better that way. Trust me. Go back to bed. Curl up to your pet rock, or whatever it may be. Enjoy yourself. Continue watching turtles and cats chasing dogs on YouTube. Because we need you to do that. Okay, so don't wake up. Don't become smart and intelligent. Don't become one of the smartest people in the world. When you figured out that we're standing still, that we're not moving, that everything's stationary, that space is fake. Ah, that's right, it is. All those planets you see up there, this is nothing but an amazing light show. That's all it is. When you go to the Hidden Planetarium, what do you see? Planets, stars. Can you land on them? No, you can't. That's exactly what's up there. When people ask, where's I had some props here. Sorry about that, but I don't think I can say that, so we'll just avoid that comment that I was about to say. Just talk about. Maybe I'll get into it at the end. Let's see. So people ask, where's your channel going? Where's it going? Where it always been? Flat Earth. When are you going to close your channel? Never. The day that I close my channel is the day that they take the Hubble telescope and they turn it around, zoom in live on a town, my town, so I can sit there and go like this. Or put a camera on top of a rocket while it's lifting off. Let me see you break the barrier into space. And then put a rear camera on there so we can see Earth slowly disappearing. But they'll never do that. What about the things that are on Mars? Well, let me ask about those little mechanical items that are on Mars. What kind of camera are on those? It should be equipped with the highest type of technology that you could possibly ever imagine, correct? better than the technology that I have? Like this? There should be a camera on all those little rovers that are on Mars. And why can't we take that camera and zoom in on Earth from Mars? Why can't they do that? I mean, I have the technology right here. Why don't they do that? Why don't they have a camera on the moon? Why isn't there a fucking rover on the moon? But yet we have one on Mars. People, wake the fuck up. We've been nowhere. You're not going anywhere. You will never, ever, ever, ever see any landing at all. Ever. Not in your lifetime. Not in your kid's lifetime. Not in his kid's lifetime. Because they can't do it. Our technology's too much now. They can't play it off. Okay? We tear apart the ISS. We tear apart the so-called satellites that are up there being held up by balloons. There's nothing else they can do. So what do they have to do to keep you confused? Case in point, our current situation. Okay? That's what they have to do. Got to keep you confused. I'm going to post the live cam. Take a look at it, and also take a look at the comments that people are saying, they're typing in there, which is nice. It's good to see that some people have woken up. Do you know anybody in Russia or in the Ukraine? I bet if I call one of them up right now, he says, "Don't worry about it, Chris. Come on, we're making some smash burgers. We're drinking a beer." I was waiting for the major news networks to cover this because I don't watch it anymore. I can't, okay, because it's such bullshit. And the minute it hit the major news network, it's all bullshit. I'm sorry. Go back to sleep. Go back to bed. You're safe there. Don't come over to the other side where we are, where the awake people are. No need to. Y'all ask too many questions. Too many questions. Like mountains, trees, continents, volcanoes. Too many questions y'all ask. Too much information to look up. So go back to bed. Don't worry. We need you to stay asleep. I thank you for subbing. I thank you for viewing my videos and let me be a part of your life.
What a tosser CC is. And there he is, posing. Seems to think that he's uncovered the hidden live stream from Kyiv. And we need him to post it to us because nobody else could have just come across that themselves.
Why does he need live cams? Why doesn't he zoom in on Kyiv with his technology?
Man, that video put me to sleep. Was that ASMR Jam?
I know. I probably should have edited that a bit more, shouldn't I? I'm sorry, but...
Well, no, he kept telling us to go back to sleep.
Yeah, it did drag on, didn't it?
Hey, didn't he say the time was 2:22 at the beginning? Because the clock on the walls was showing midday.
Yeah, you know what? I'm trying.
Dodgy.
He said it was February. He said 2/22/22, i.e., February 22nd.
Oh, I see.
Ah, right, yeah.
I think his clock it said the same time on the other video too. It's possible it doesn't have a battery in it.
He was doing that weird thing at the start as well, wasn't he? Where he was sort of distracted and looking behind him and,
like his wife's about to enter the room.
Yeah, sort of slightly nervous.
Definitely hiding this from his wife, 100%.
Yeah, like she's just gone for a nap. I'll make this quick while she's not looking.
Yeah. Well, what's up with the props?
Yeah, I don't know what the props were.
What? I feel like the whole thing, I bet there's probably no props at all. He's probably just like I was like, oh yeah, I'll wait till the end of the video. I'm gonna see what the props are. And there's no props. Yeah. Good jerk.
All right. Well, it did drag on, but it was a sort of a bit of an intro to the next thing. So, staying with the Ukraine conflict, but with a more serious edge now. To some extent, many of us I know have been somewhat surprised by the internet right wing's reaction to recent events and their glorification of Vladimir Putin. Here with some insight into this is Kelly Weill, author of a new book called Off the Edge: Flat Earthers, Conspiracy Culture, and Why People Will Believe Anything. Here are a couple of clips back to back from her recent interviews.
And as much as I'll hammer a YouTube or a Facebook for artificially promoting flat Earth, I think it's important that we recognize that institutions with a lot more power, like the mainstream GOP, are now huge platformers of conspiracy theories. They're normalizing it and they're weaponizing it, and theories like QAnon, which started fringe and still make extremely fringe claims, are being ingested into this bloodstream. But as far as how theories like flat Earth work, I don't think we can entirely silo them into the harmless field just because their core claims are kind of silly. Because what's going on right now is conspiracy movements online are networking. So flat Earth groups, although in around 2017, when I started monitoring them, they did keep to themselves a little bit more. Nowadays, they are promoting QAnon-like theories. They're promoting vaccine hesitancy, and QAnon channels are promoting flat Earth. There's a ton of exchange, and I've even seen that in person in the meat world. Like, I went to a flat Earth conference, and these two women approached me and tried to give me a bracelet, and I'm like, "Why are you giving me free stuff?" And it had a QAnon bangle on it. I'm like, "Are you even flat Earthers at all?" They're like, "Not really, but we thought flat Earthers might be interested in this thing that we believe." So there is a real consciousness that people who might be conspiracy curious could be pulled further in an extreme direction. And I do actually think that's happening in a number of conspiracy movements.
Flat earthing is, a gateway drug, or is it? How much of this is people who are looking to make money?
I think it actually breaks down along similar lines as most other influencer spheres, which are kind of pyramid schemes in an unofficial way, right? You have the people on top who it's really, really working for, and you only have a couple people who are really profiting from this. And actually, I'd say that the people who get the most clicks in a conspiracy video are not flat earthers, or the most clicks in a flat Earth video. You have influencers like Logan Paul made a flat Earth video. I think Shane Dawson made one. And they're not flat earthers, but they recognize that this is a sensational topic and that they can get some good play from that. Underneath them are genuine flat earthers, or people who make their whole channels out of conspiracy content. And some of them do make a living. They genuinely do from that content, and they become kind of celebrities in the conspiracy world. And then underneath them is this just ecosystem of micro influencers, people selling flat Earth books to each other and buying the other guy's flat Earth t-shirt, selling conference tickets. And then there are so many people who are just feeding their money into the system, paying $300 for a conference where they buy a $25 hat and a $50 shirt. And, somebody sold me a flat Earth cookbook via PDF for $20. You can just waste all your money on this kind of thing. So most people, I think, are getting scammed to a slight degree.
What is it? What's in a flat Earth cookbook?
Just the worst recipes. Just telling you how to make pasta. Not worth my time.
Just to tell you how to make pasta. How is it different in a like when you live on a globe as opposed to a flat disc?
I think it was more just a branding opportunity. The guy knew that he could, kind of slap the flat Earth name on it, and people would buy it. I did.
Well, fair enough. So let me ask you this. Do you come across any other conspiracies in the course of your work as a reporter in this field that are clearly just scams. I'm thinking, birds aren't real. I mean, I think like that was developed because somebody wanted to play a joke. It was somebody who was a comedian, I think, and it just sort of grew, and he just wanted to see where. But I mean, have you seen situations where something like this has spawned an actual movement?
You could make that argument, I think, with things like QAnon and Pizzagate. Most of their believers are really diehard believers, but both of those had inauthentic beginnings. QAnon is somebody LARPing as a government official, and unfortunately, they're just inspiring national Republican bloodlust. But I mean, none of these theories are factual. Somebody authoring them either has completely bought into their own lunacy or is consciously deluding people. And I think that's as true with flat Earth as it is with political conspiracy theories that are cannibalizing the GOP right now.
So I have the story from Mother Jones by Catherine Joyce that these conspiracy theories that are now being shared on social media, particularly Facebook, in the anti-vax groups, are now putting forward pro-Putin conspiracy theories. Christiane Northrup, an influential holistic medicine practitioner who regularly spreads pandemic misinformation, shared with her followers a map that supposedly showed secret labs in Ukraine that she insists is where viruses are being created. She said the U.S. government conducted biological experiments with potentially lethal outcome on 4,400 soldiers in Ukraine and 1,000 soldiers in Georgia. And it goes on and on. I mean, she's actually in this article identifying about a dozen of these really relatively high-profile anti-vax folks who are now pushing, anti-Ukraine. I called it pro-Putin to begin with, but it's really anti-Ukraine propaganda. Look at all the corruption. This is an actual quote from one of the Facebook group called Stop the Tyranny. Look at all the corruption installed in Ukraine. Putin is against the New World Order and child trafficking. The moment you realize Putin isn't fighting Ukraine, he's fighting the deep state in Ukraine. I mean, what is this? Is this a commentary on human nature? Is this a commentary on how effective the ability of a foreign government to infiltrate a Facebook group can be? What does that tell you, having done this deep dive research and written this book?
There is an extent to which Russia has pushed vaccine disinformation in the U.S., but it even predates COVID. And at this point, I wouldn't say that this is Russian infiltration as much as it is U.S. conspiracy theorist cynicism. Conspiracy theories aren't just a belief system. They also work as a bit of an identity for people. They identify with their conspiracy group, and sometimes it's a very literal Facebook group or even an influential conspiracy voice like a YouTuber or an Instagram influencer. These influencers need to not just promote their theory, but promote distrust in mainstream narratives. So that's why you'll see, even though these people have no idea what's going on in Ukraine, that when a new crisis emerges, they retool it to fit their narrative, which in this case is something to do with US bioweapons, or just this idea that you cannot trust the available information, that the real story is actually the reverse. So that's one element of it. I think it's just pure cynicism. And the other, frankly, is a lot of these conspiracy movements have a strong anti-democratic strain. It's not inherent in them, but I have noticed this a lot, often in anti-vax communities. And there is a bit of a veneration of Russian strongman aggression. And I think a lot of these influencers are very primed to defend Putin in this moment. And so those two narratives, both being pro-Putin and being anti-fact, I think go hand in hand here.
We have about maybe just a little bit more than 2 minutes before we're going to hit a hard break here. So we've got this synthesis of conspiracy theories, humans being primed to basically try to figure out how the world works. I mean, that's intrinsic to our nature. Plus, perhaps authoritarian personalities. Most authoritarians are actually authoritarian followers rather than authoritarian leaders. And the very human instinct to want mom and dad to take care of us. And I guess maybe that's part of authoritarianism, but I think there's a larger piece. Are you seeing a synthesis of these three things emerging in these conspiracy groups?
Very much so. I think a lot of people in conspiracy movements, although they do build themselves as free thinkers and independents, really are looking for someone with the answers. And it makes sense in a way. Conspiracy theories are a way of seeking order even in the world when the world seems chaotic and impossible to understand. So either via a theory that claims to have it all, or via conspiracy influencers who speak to the audience like it's their flock and they're going to give them real truth.
How do we best push back on this? We have just about a minute here, Kelly.
It's really challenging. I think one of the best ways to combat this is not to debate people in a hostile way that makes people almost dig down into their beliefs further, but to talk to people in a human way and understand the emotional reason they go to these groups and try and show them that these leaders, that these conspiracy voices don't actually have their best interests at heart, and to try and forge that personal connection in the real reality-based world.
Interesting thoughts there, I thought, from Kelly Weill, author of Off the Edge, Flat Earthers, Conspiracy Culture, and Why People Will Believe Anything. What did you guys think to that?
Fine. I had a bad reaction to that video, but that's only because this lady, she looks exactly like one of my colleagues, and she has like the same voice.
Really?
So I just kept like picturing her and talking this entire time about flat Earth.
You ever think maybe it is your colleague?
No, I don't think so.
She's a very attractive lady, I thought.
She's the most attractive woman in tonight's show so far. But
anyway, there was more to her than her looks.
She had good observations about what they do.
Right, I thought.
Yeah, but that was a bit bizarre though. Like her words, she used what she said at one point. She's like, "I've been monitoring them since I don't know, whatever year she said,
2017."
Yeah. So it was like, I don't know, it's like an interesting choice of words, and it really does look like she's monitoring this sort of stuff. She's enough to write about it, right?
Right.
So
an expose.
I guess she could have said researching.
And well, by monitoring, she means she wasn't participating.
Fair enough. Yeah. I wonder what her like. I wonder if her book's any good. You know.
Yeah, I mean,
it's available. Buy it.
I think MC Toon had quite a longer interview with her. I think. I mean, I haven't actually watched that myself, but I was more interested in what she was saying about this sort of right-wing stuff and how, I mean, she didn't see this as a Russian influence, did she? But she did say that there'd been Russian influence, and I do think it's peculiar the way the sort of right wing have picked up, or some of them at least have picked up on this and have this sort of pro-Putin approach. I think it's kind of odd, and I don't know what it's telling us, but I think it's clear that Russia is influencing on social media, and sometimes its influence is hidden in other things, I think.
Well, to me, it's like the whole conspiracy movement is everything is the opposite. So if there is any sort of, reporting of integrity, that's the opposite of truth. So if Putin's a bad guy by popular mainstream media, well, that's obviously then Putin's a good guy.
Right. You're right. There is an element of that, isn't there? But I do think it's, I don't know, it's bothersome. It bothers me somewhat that there are people who live in democracies who are against democracy. I can't.
And one thing she did touch on, the profiteering. Buy my T-shirt,
right?
So, fund my Patreon, and there's a very real Alex Jones persona that runs across the big hitters.
I mean, a lot of the videos that we watched earlier in the show from TikTok, especially, felt like they were like cult videos. where they're just like repeating the same thing over and over again to brainwash you.
Right.
He was trying to like discuss this, and I don't think the people were able to have the discussion with her. That's why I think she still has a lot of questions unanswered. Wanted to reverberate that. I was agreeing that that's the question I want to know. Why are they linking with Russia? Like there was no connection to go from flat Earth to Russia, but I don't think she had an answer.
I mean, there kind of is. I think Payne has to show. I mean, Payne has to show. I'm sorry. Larry just said, the thing about the opposites, and all that, and it's 100% truth. I mean, it's 100% the truth. So I was just thinking that's something that bothers me as well, Jem, because sometimes I can believe in certain conspiracies and stuff, and sometimes it's difficult to know who's influencing who, and is my intuition right or wrong about who's the actual who's actually being influenced by some outside entity or whatever to change your opinions or whatever, propagandize you.
I think the way that the flat earthers got there was that many of them, generally speaking, are politically right wing, and I think also that being sort of populist right wing ideas are a popular internet meme, and there seem to be so many people propagating these ideas who are popular influencers. And so I think they're part of that. They, as part of being a flat earther, almost, not always, and for some more than others, it's also being right wing and to some extent far right. A lot of them, believe QAnon or versions of it, at least the Pizzagate part of it, or various bits of it. They don't dismiss it anyway, which is another sort of far right, thing that they take on board. So I think, as she was saying, they're sort of primed for it anyway, aren't they? They're already moving in those circles, and those are the people who are sort of pro-Trump and sort of pro-authoritarianism, and I'm still not quite sure why they're so pro-Russia. I don't get it, but I do think there's as has been said, there's if the mainstream media are saying he's a bad guy, then he must be a good guy. I think there's an element of that.
And I see it as the feedback loop is the crazier they talk, the more clicks and subs they get. And then you run into mob mentality. Those are the TikTokers. They're part of the mob mentality that just get on the bandwagon without cause, reason, or profit. And then you have the feedback loop with the content generators and the Alex Jones types. Yeah, Alex Jones says the weirdest crazy shit. Buy my power protein bars.
Right.
So I think the combined, but the mob mentality, that's QAnon.
Pseudo brainwashing.
Imagine if you are a real agency, yeah? If you really want to influence those people in a direction, how hard it is to infiltrate inside there. So everybody can be inside there to spread informations, to manipulate informations, to guide them in a direction or another direction, because those people are already set it against the system. You just need you just need to feed them.
Yeah. I mean, those of us who saw this rise in 2015, many of us said then that we didn't think that this was organic, that there seemed to be something artificial about its sudden growth. And we also heard along the way about, for instance, there was an Italian research group that were injecting conspiracy theories onto the internet just to see how they spread and who picked them up and things like that. And they had conspiracies like chemtrails. They were chemtrailing us with Viagra was one of them, and this was picked up straight away. And I wonder, I've often said at the time, I wondered if flat Earth wasn't sort of artificially introduced as some sort of experiment to see how easy it was to get a sort of a conspiracy-based meme to spread. And that, I'm conspiracy theorizing myself now to a great extent, I will accept. But who knows? Who knows if the Russian government didn't say, right, let's run a test. Let's see how popular we can make this ridiculous idea. And then that will give us insight when we have some serious ridiculous idea or untrue idea that we want to make popular, Who knows? That is a conspiracy theory of my own, but, who knows?
But
Two
then
and two together and make five.
I think the internet has made a big difference because I remember my mother, she was conspiracy theorist all the way, and her only source was bad AM radio talk shows. Right. And now it's just that it's a spooling up of quote social media, where if somebody says something completely crazy and outrageous, it gets a lot of clicks, even by people who hate it. It doesn't matter. A click's a click, and it's again the feedback loop.
Hey Jim, just asking for a friend. Do you happen to know where these chemtrails doing the Viagra thing was taking place?
No, I don't.
It's not for me. It's for a friend.
Yeah. All right. Shall we move on?
That's for the next show. Save that for the next show, Kosho.
We'll move on slightly. Level Earth Observer recently offered a solution to the problems in Ukraine. It's all about ego, apparently.
Now, I have no idea what's going on in Ukraine with regards to Russia right now. I certainly don't trust a mainstream media, well-known liars and manipulators of the human mind. But what I do know, though, is a method, a process, that can end all of this suffering and all of these wars. And we can all do it and all stand by it. The only obstacle is the ego. The ego's going to resist what I'm going to show you and cite to you, even though you can test it and verify it for yourself. The ego's going to resist because it doesn't want to admit that it's been fooled. The ego, of course, wants to hold you back. When you have to do something difficult and empower yourself by doing difficult things, it wants to hold you back by calling in pizza and watching movies. The moment you overcome that ego is the moment you start to empower yourself and start to take control of your life and start to discern and start to think logically. Until then, you're just a puppet of your own ego, and that is why we're in the mess we're in. Simply overcoming that ego is not only empowering, setting you free, it also resolves lots of things, enables you to accept the simple truths like demonstrable reality, and in doing so, you expose the whole game of this place which we find ourselves in it, and as a result can end all this suffering and all these wars by exposing all this corruption at the highest level all across the earth. So rather than put a hanky with two colours in it and pretend to get all emotional watching the TV, actually do something. Empower yourself at the same time by overcoming your ego, by standing by real-world demonstrable science, the results of which will prove we've been lied to at the very fundamental level, and that they're at it all across the earth. Those simple demonstrations are: large standing bodies of water do not have the ability to display convexity upon its surface. You can't have an air pressure system next to a vacuum without a solid wall. Prime example, NASA's vacuum chamber, the largest on Earth, 6 to 8 feet thick concrete walls. These are scientific facts. You're going to resist them, but they're true. And here's another one. Tower cranes and pendulums are dead still on a non-windy day. Impossible on a spinning, wobbling, oscillating ball, one that's doing ludicrous speeds in all different directions. Particularly given the fact when every single practical reference involving a travelling pendulum shows it to deviate from the plumb and swing. That's only going in a linear fashion. yet alone trying to replicate the spinning, wobbling, oscillating ball doing ludicrous speeds in all different directions. These are simple, demonstrable facts. You're not going to like it because it proves you've been lied to. You're going to feel resistance within you, but you're not going to find any science that refutes that. So the moment you overcome that resistance and start empowering yourself by overcoming it and standing by what is the moment you start to make progress within yourself and you start to end this dark pantomime, wars and worldwide suffering. So the sooner you get control, the better. Like I said, rather than put your multicolored handkerchief in and shed a few tears getting emotional watching TV, actually end this by overcoming your ego as well. So you're ending this suffering. You're putting an end to the wars. You're mastering your own ego and empowering yourself by simply standing by real-world demonstrable science. No one can refute that. The results of that prove we've been lied to, and the globe's scientifically impossible. The results of that prove they lied to us at the very top, all across the earth. And the only thing to resist that, there's no science. The only thing that holds all of this together is your ego. And that enslaves you. The moment you overcome that, you're empowered by it and it becomes an empowering tool. So why are you choosing the life of disempowerment and delusion by putting hankies in your pocket and yet letting your ego rule you? Scooby-Doo's less confused, guys. Overcome the ego. Stand by what is. All of this ends. It's up to you now.
I mean, what an egotistical tosser, really. I mean, how you can make a video about ego where you're saying everyone else in the world has got a problem, but you've overcome that problem. But you're not egotistical.
That's right. I don't have an ego, Jim.
Yeah, especially when he said an ego puppet. And then to listen to him go on like an Eric Dubay.
And apparently there's no science to refute that a tower crane should be wobbling all over the place on a rotating globe. There's no science to refute that. That should be happening, and it isn't, so the globe can't be rotating. I mean,
and again the scale of it, because he says spinning, wobbling. Well, the period of oscillation is like 400 days.
Well, he did mention ludicrous speed, so take that into account.
Yeah. He just such a... What an arrogant twat, really. Anyway, I thought I'd throw that in there.
What was that thing he started to make a list of, but he only said one? Yeah, vacuum next to pressure.
Right.
You can't have that without a container. The list stopped a little short.
And the demonstrable fact of the 6-foot thick concrete walls is because they repurposed the chamber from when it did atomic testing. And inside there's aluminum containers with only, half-inch, quarter-inch walls.
Right, okay. Double Dell now. Flat Earth's own weather girl has been out to his local university with his delusional version of the Socratic method. Take a look.
Well, can I ask you what you're studying?
I'm doing zoology.
Zoology. Have you heard of Flat Earth?
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on it?
I don't think they're flat.
You don't think it's flat?
No.
This is where I want to go about the logical reasoning, and I'm asking people as individuals. So you know what an appeal to authority is?
Yeah.
You know these types of fallacies that people invoke. Bandwagon, yada yada. If I ask you as a man to man, if you could reason with me and convince me that the Earth was a globe, how would you go about that?
Well, like the experiment where you shine two lights between a box, and then if the Earth, over like a long distance, shine a laser. And if the Earth is flat, you'd be able to see those two lines and intersect them. But if you do that, you don't see them.
Right.
So you see it being lower if it's far enough away. I think it's 17 miles there.
Can I ask you where you got that information from? Was it a YouTube video or one of these types of things?
Yeah.
Have you conducted that yourself?
I have not. No.
Have you analysed it?
I've not analysed it. No.
Well, things like the refractive index and how light would function through mediums, different temperature, different pressure, different density, how these would be factored into these types of things?
I have not. No.
You've no? Is that the only thing that you could offer me in regards to the Earth being a globe?
Pictures from the moon landing, but then I don't really know if I believe the moon landing. So,
so that's again, if I was to reason with you and I was to, for me that would open a can of worms up. If that was to set a precedent, a standard, that knew that I could say to you, well listen, I've got pictures of Mickey Mouse.
Okay.
Do you now accept that as scientific valid reasoning for Mickey Mouse's existence being objectively true?
No, I suppose you wouldn't. No.
So do you think it's reasonable then to opt for what you see two-dimensionally on a screen as being valid reasoning for a belief?
I mean, you could get into the fact that you can't really believe anything, because unless you can conduct something yourself.
Yeah. And that's the point. Do you not think that's reasonable to be that way? So if another man for you make a claim to me about the objective world, if I kind of demonstrate that to myself, directly measure it, observe it, would you say that's scientific or unscientific?
There's so much data involved in a lot of scientific experiments that not one person could carry them out.
Yeah.
So it's debatable. One of my modules is philosophy, and looked at epistemology.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of different theories out there that you could believe in one thing or another, and you can never truly know anything from some theories.
That's a kind of philosophical position. I take it direct from experiential. So, you know, I take reality being objective. You know, there's definite physical laws regardless of my belief in them. An example, if a newborn child comes out of the hospital and there's a car accident, there's a definite cause and effect. There's no requirement for a philosophical belief or any of these things in that child. So there is an objective reality as far as I'm concerned. Okay. So if a man makes a claim to me, I expect to be able to demonstrate it practically and physically. Would you think that's sound reasoning to go on?
Yeah.
Yep. So again, I'll come back to it. If the Earth's a globe, can you reason with me? Can you convince me? By the way, I'm not invested in anything, one way or the other. I experience the Earth as being a level plane. That's my immediate experience. Do you experience that?
Depends how far you can actively see, because like for example, if you go to like the seaside and you look out in the ocean, eventually the Earth stops and you can see a slight curvature.
From left to right?
From left to right, and then you also see it when it's further away.
I've conducted these types of things, and the horizon's called the horizon because it's a horizontal. So from one side to the other it's a perfectly straight line. What I postulated was an equilateral triangle. So if you're an observer and you think that you're seeing a curve left to right, or you see something going over a curve in the distance, if I'm at 60 degrees to you and the object, what I should then get is a definite, drop from a centre point left to right. Do you agree with that? But
I don't do physics, but yeah.
Yeah, but you can reason, you understand what I'm saying to you. But in reality, that's not there. The horizon's a perfect straight line. If I put a spirit level up on a tripod and a pan, over a span of 180 degrees, there's no deviation from the spirit level and the horizon.
Well, it depends how far out you're seeing, because I think there is. I've not conducted the experiment myself, but from what I've perceived, there has been.
See, what I'm getting to here is the whole point. That this is what I'm trying to uncover and establish, is that people have these beliefs, but they don't fully comprehend why. And you're citing things that you would admit yourself, you don't fully comprehend them, you've never conducted them. And what I'm trying to uncover is that it's a bit flaky, the reasons for why people accept these things to be true, and expose that. So,
but there's so much information in the world that you can't physically go about and verify every single piece of information you read. There's just too much information.
Of course, for specific aspects, but for two human beings that experience the world directly, I think it has to be something that's accessible to anybody, and we should be able to reason and point to these things quite freely.
Is it alright if we cut this short? Sorry, my mate's
Sorry, man. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much, buddy. You too, thank you.
So, some supposed sound reasoning there. He kept insisting his reasoning was sound, but it was idiotic. I mean,
Wait, you could tell what they were saying? I didn't follow any of that.
Yeah, you always say that, yeah. Well, I mean, he was making his usual dumb arguments. I mean, I've got a picture of Mickey Mouse, therefore all pictures. Oh, he threw in the word scientific there as well. So if I've got a picture of Mickey Mouse, would you say that's scientifically reasoning something or whatever it was, you know?
How old was the person he was talking to, though?
It'd have been, he's at university, so it'd have been...
Okay,
20,
so he'd probably be over 18.
20, something like that.
Do you know if Dell studied the trivium or quadrivium, Jim? Either way, he's showing them to be potentially utterly useless.
Yes. And his idea that anything, you know, you can tell as well when the guy he's speaking and Dell's sort of, yeah, and you can tell he isn't really listening to what's being said, and he's planning his response straight away. And the guy said, you know, he said, and Dell goes, oh, well, that's speaking philosophically, but I go with evidential. Well, that's a philosophical position, you knobhead. And what else there were just so many things in there that are just so, I don't know, just the idea that everything, you have to be able to demonstrate it in front. If two people are talking and one of them makes a claim, they've got to be able to demonstrate it. Well, when is that true? Ever? When is that ever true?
And he was trying to dismiss, the kid based on, lack of this when he suffers from the same lack and won't face up to that.
Same lack.
Right. Well, it gets worse. There's more in our next clip, which is a longer clip. He's got 3 victims this time. But it gets a bit irritable towards the end on this one. So, excuse me, enjoy.
You heard the people questioning the shape of the Earth?
Yes.
Flat earthers, all that stuff. What's your thoughts on it? Rubbish. Bollocks. Reasons why? What's your vision of flat Earth? What's your picturing of it?
For me, it just isn't. It's just we are men of science. We do engineering.
Excellent. Same.
We do all the theory in uni, and it just isn't.
Nonsense. So, based on what we agreed upon, human beings, practicality. If I was to ask you to convince me that the Earth was a globe, how would you go about that?
I would simply say, would you like to go on a nice holiday? Take your plane, say,
an aircraft.
How you look at that window there?
So you think visibly you can tell the geometry of the Earth visibly?
That's what you're saying with what you're saying about agreeing with things. If you can see it, if you can actually see something, then
if I can clarify on that, visions get a geometry to it, so that would have to be something separate. Like if we look along that street right now, the floor appears to rise up in front of us, trees get smaller, and the sky appears to descend, and the sides appear to converge. So there's a geometry to my vision. The world's no like, you would agree the world's no like the way it appears out there.
Of course.
Right, so that would be a separate question, because if it's only optical, it's about the geometry of optics. Do you understand that?
Yep.
So when we say we can see curve on the horizon, is that?
You can't fall off Earth. There's another one.
What's that? Sorry.
You can't fall off. It doesn't. If it's flat, it has to.
Oh,
be a boundary.
sorry. See, before we go any further, I'm not an advocate for any flat Earth model or any of that stuff, because I always get this response. People jump in and start. You'll get a bit of gish gallop. I don't know if you know what that means. Where we jump from one point to another rather than establishing, we're reasoning from one point. So, if we accept that there's a geometry to optics and it has to be accounted for, then how would you scientifically give me a direct measure that there was a curvature there? Rather than just saying, I think I see it. Because I'll tell you,
It's done in the past. It's been done before. And
so that's an appeal.
That's the whole basis of mathematics.
So that's an appeal to consensus, then. Listen, I'm not attacking you, and people get uncomfortable because what I find is that I'm exposing is that there's a weakness in why people believe what they believe, and they don't fully comprehend why they believe what they believe, and that's the only reason I'm here, is to try and expose that. So if I want to look at anything, construction, if I want to look at flight, I want to see the angle of approach, angle of attack, you know, the distance of an aircraft, tracking it. I've got a horizontal plane and a vertical plumbing level. And this is how we're accounting for everything. At no point in any of that observation or study have I seen accounting for curvature. And I never see it in engineering. I've been involved in engineering, been involved in construction, I'm a mechanic to trade. I never see any of that stuff. Have you experienced any of it? Have you ever considered that you need to take these things into account?
We've not worked at big enough scales to take curvature into account.
No. So you agree that your datum lines that you're functioning from is are horizontal and plumb?
Aye.
And they'll say that's for local purposes. Right? So what I'm trying to establish, at what point then do we start accounting for a curve? If I'm a builder, and before we had any kind of lasers, and even to this day, what's more accurate and considered more accurate is water levelling. So the physical properties of water that I can demonstrate to you, that you experience, is that water takes the shape of the container, and it will form a free surface, a horizontal plane, equal in elevation from one point to any other given point upon the surface of the plane. That's how water behaves, that's how liquids behave. Would you agree or disagree?
To a point.
To a point. Observably, demonstrably, it's a fact.
We only have so much capability with our human eyes to visualise.
So back to vision again, but again that's a study of optics, it's not a study of the three-dimensional world. So we're talking about how we measure and utilise things in the three-dimensional world, not just by looking. I can look at things and make an assertion about it, but chances are I'm going to be wrong, because the geometry of my vision doesn't portray the world the way it actually is. So I want to hammer on the point on water. You know through your experience that it takes the shape of a container, forms a free surface, a horizontal plane. That's your experience.
Right.
That's your experience. That's your experience. At what point do you think it starts to change its behaviour and display curvature on the surface? I'm just looking for a concession on the water thing. And do you think there's something to think about there? What I'm trying to establish, you don't? You don't?
I don't think there's anything to think about there.
You don't think there's anything to think about there?
No, it's gone way too deep for me.
No?
I just think it's a bit
But a waste of time?
Not your video, I just mean the point.
That I have an investigation into it?
No, I don't think it's a complete waste of time.
You do? That's because you're quite happy to accept
Yeah, I am.
the way it's been presented to you, which is honest, and that's absolutely fine. I totally get that. You'd be the same, you accept it, because that's what's been presented to you. Aye, no worries, and I totally get that, guys. And that's a point a lot of people make, you know, that other people are too busy with their life. I see a massive relevance in it, it's important to me. So this is why I do it, you know. You know, I believed I lived in a globe for the majority of my life.
You still believe it?
Nah.
You're a flat earther?
Nah, not flat earther either.
So what do you believe?
I don't know what the full dimensions are. From my direct experience and what I know about the practical applications in reality, I can establish that I'm on a level. Everything tells me I'm on a level. For me, it's important to question. I don't want to be a follower. I don't want to be part of any cults.
You are a follower. By living in buildings, you then believe that's going to stand up. You believe the science.
Well, there's a physics to that. You know,
The Earth.
Yeah, of course there is, but that's what I'm trying to uncover. What is the physics? Is it purely on paper, or is it actual physics, like physical reality? Physics to me, when I was growing up in school, was stuff that you used physically.
Do you believe in physical geography then? Like tectonic movement? Do you believe in that?
Well, I think there's things that go on with the Earth, aye. But again, I don't have to have a belief.
Have you ever seen a tectonic plate? Do you feel the tectonic plate moving, but you believe that?
No, I don't believe it. And when I look at this type of thing, there's loads of different factions of what people would call flat earthers. So you get people with different maps and models and different ideas about what's going on. Again, I'm not interested in any of that because I don't want beliefs. I just try and establish what's objectively true and go from one point to the next without trying to project, you know, what I think the Earth is, because I'm only one man. I'm standing here in the middle of fucking Glasgow. It's a massive area. I couldn't account for that myself, you know.
Right, one more question, right, and we're going to go. So
cool.
You don't believe it's a globe? Yeah.
No.
So see when you think of the moon landing, what do you think of that? Do you not believe in that? When you see the Earth and the moon, you think that's...
See, the thing is I don't even analyse the moon landing per se, right? I go with the claim we're in an infinite vacuum. and we're in a system, an open system with pressurised gas. Back to physics again. Physics shows me that in order firstly for me to have a vacuum, I need a container. In order to have pressure, I need a container. Now if I put those two systems together and I remove the divider between the vacuum and the pressure, immediately I get equilibrium. Immediately. So, you know, I've got to invest faith in some mathematical sophistry that we can be this tiny gas ball in an infinite vacuum and some magical property holds this gas within the realms of the earth. That's a belief. Because physics shows me that that's nonsense. And you know it, if you're an engineer, you know that to be the case. And see, the thing is people get really triggered by this. And I think that that's something that people should really look at as well.
I just don't think people like being manipulated with fancy words.
Do you think I'm manipulating you?
Just I think you're trying to get a reaction out of us.
Think so? And can you give me specifics?
I do. I think you're standing there with that camera right there and you're saying these fancy words, and I just think you're trying to get a reaction out of us.
But give me a specifics.
I could just see it.
I could just say that you. Well, I can just say. I can say that you're triggered, and that you have no specifics and no rational reasoning to offer me about why you just made that statement. And I think that's your own ignorance.
You could think that if you would.
Because you're triggered emotionally, and I'm not emotional. I'm trying to be objective. I've got no personal gripe with any of you guys.
I know you don't.
But if you can offer me specifics, I would totally analyse that and say, well, fair enough, you've made a valid point.
It's obvious that your videos are there to try and get a reaction out of you.
Well, that's what the questions are about, to engage in the topic, not to antagonise you.
So I just don't know what we've taken for this to do.
No worries at all. That's fine. Listen, thank you so much. All the best with your career. Take it easy, guys. So, that's what you call triggered. And I'm just going to leave it at that. And this is continually what you see happening, that people get triggered like that. And it's their projection of their own insecurities, the inferiority complex, because they don't have valid reasoning for why they believe in it. And then they want to turn it on you, that you've somehow done something to them by asking them simple questions. So this is higher level education. This is supposed to be the cutting edge of human reasoning and logical rational thought, but they can't even take responsibility for what they believe to be true. Pretty sad, eh?
What a dickhead, really. And delusional as well.
He looks healthier in that video, I think. He's getting out and getting exercise and stuff. That's good. Good for him. But yeah, the rest, he's just insane.
His approach, I mean, it's interesting that he sort of picked on that guy a bit at the end there, and, you know, we got his little monologue at the end, but that guy was being intelligent, more intelligent than most people are in this situation, because he sensed there was manipulation going on. He couldn't quite put his finger on it, but I bet you if he watched the video again, he would be able to, because Dell's clearly manipulating people. You know, he asked these sort of closed questions, and you know, to get people to agree, and then he's instantly asking them if they've agreed to it. You know, I want a concession on the water thing. You know, it's very manipulative what he's doing, and I can't believe that he doesn't realize that.
Yeah, people need to give him shit for doing that.
No, I would love to take it apart with him, you know, actually go through it with him and point out where, because at one point, you know, he argues, you know, that would be something separate. When the guy said, well, I could take you up in a plane and show it to you. That's optics. So that would be something separate. And then immediately after that, starts talking about water levels. And
see that it looks flat.
And then when the guy says something again. Again, Dell says, well, that's optics again. And I thought, well, yeah, you are currently arguing that you can see this water level, that's optical. How is that okay? But he just doesn't seem to see these just total contradictions in his ridiculous reasoning.
Yeah.
Just crazy. Whenever I see him, I'm just always incensed by what I'm hearing, Does anyone else have any thoughts on that? All right.
He's a wanker.
So, yeah, sorry, say that again, Curve.
He's a wanker.
He is indeed. All right, well, we're almost out of clips. One more to come. Shall we get on with it? I guess we should. We're on the 2-hour mark. So, enough of philosophy, wars, and science. Now, instead, let's just gossip about these two top flat Earth influencers. Enjoy.
Guys are looking for an RV tour. So you're probably wondering, how did two people in their 20s end up in such a beautiful area with such a free life? Well, for one, all praise to the Father, because the Creator is what gives all blessings. And second, we're on our honeymoon. Stop being lame.
Now that you're done being lame, let's talk about the details. So yes, we are on our honeymoon, and our families gave us money for our wedding, and instead of using the money for a venue for only a couple of hours, we decided it would be better spent on an RV park for a whole month. How the heck did two kids in their 20s that think the earth is flat do one of these things? Well, we did a lot of research, and Austin already had previous experience with an RV. So we found a gas RV that was about $20,000 under MSRP. And let me tell you, the previous owners treated this thing like crap. So let's go inside and we'll show you all the TLC we gave our little bus to turn the hunk of junk into a home on wheels.
So here is the guest bathroom, which is cool. Most RVs only have one bathroom. We have a spare bathroom, so pretty convenient. And here is the master bedroom. This is where we will proceed to make Effie babies. Oh, whoa! And there's another flat Earth clock here for some reason. That's crazy. It's just popping up everywhere. So there's a depiction of reality. Of course, flat means curved.
Anyway, so for the bed, we have a Tempur-Pedic mattress, so we can have that cooling effect. And then for our comforter, it's nice and warm and fuzzy, so we're just sandwiched in the perfect temperature range. We have these shelves here for our water and phones at night, and then we also have an extension cord we installed so we can run the projector.
So now we're in the back bathroom. We replaced the shower head to get all the chlorine and fluoride out, etc. We threw this wooden floor in to get a little bit of a more modern vibe. We got this kitty litter box here, which is actually one of the major things we weren't sure were going to work out in the RV. We replaced this faucet as well. I threw some lights down here, so you always have lighting in the bathroom. And yeah, pretty spacious little bathroom, nice window, skylight. So yeah, pretty cool. So thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and the RV life may have its hiccups.
Lots of downsides, lots of hard work.
But comes with tons of freedom, and in the end, it's totally worth it. So we'll see you on the road.
So So that was Witsit with his RV tour.
Freedom RV tour, Jem. Freedom RV.
Yeah, I mean, when I first watched that, it just seemed so. Oh,
Fake?
what fake? Yeah, fake. You know what I mean? It's like they want to be sort of influencers. You know what I mean? It was kind of like that. It was very weird.
Yeah, you just make a video and then you're an influencer, Jem.
And don't you think you're setting yourself up for a fall when you do stuff like that? You know, I you know, living in an RV. I don't know. I guess who can judge someone else's relationship? But I think that puts some extra pressures on a relationship living in a space that small. You know.
Not at first. I think they'll be fine at first.
Yeah, I don't know what.
If they ever do have kids, though, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, I think that'll be harder. I mean, what's his job now? What are they going to, you know, when the honeymoon money runs out? What do they do then? I guess they must have some sort of a plan. But
they only have $15.
But
they can still live in Walmart. Some of them, but still allow parking.
Yeah. Is it still just to troll around the USA, spreading the flat Earth truth? Is just
that? Yeah, they're going to spend a lot of money on diesel or whatever, you know, to power things when they don't have, you know, shore power, so to speak, at the park.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's not necessarily a cheap way to live, is it?
But they're free. They're free. How did two kids in their 20s afford all this luxury? I have no idea.
Free.
What do you reckon a thing like that would cost then? An RV like that would cost?
I don't know, 20, 40 grand in the condition it was in. There was a conversation about it. People were doing some research on the year of it and everything, that model. And it was nothing extravagant.
Right.
It's not like they broke the bank.
From the wand ads out there for sale, it's north of 60 grand. That looked in pretty nice condition.
They have fixed it though. Like she said.
Yeah. They tell us they fixed it. We've never seen what it was in its previous condition.
Yeah, they didn't do much fixing up. Yeah, like floor treatment, you know, something.
Well, apparently they did. They replaced all the floors, she said, or they replaced at least carpets. I think was what.
Yeah, a floor treatment, nothing structural.
Yeah. But yeah, I think they'd spent a bit of. He'd stuck a lot of LEDs everywhere, hadn't he? Which I thought looked pretty good actually. But I don't know. I don't know. It just seems like quite a tough way to live. I think in some respects.
Good luck. Yes.
Yeah.
Anybody want to talk about the kitty litter box?
Oh, I do.
Well, they have a cat.
No.
No.
No, that's I think that is a just like a nickname or a way of talking about a certain type of toilet system.
You mean as in composting?
Maybe
a bidet?
Sawdust? Or they buy something that every time you use it, you've got to dump this stuff on top of it that absorbs moisture and everything. Keep it dry, and then you end up dumping it.
Which costs money if you do it legally anyways.
Sure. It's just, I don't know if it is what I think it is. And I didn't see any room in that bathroom anywhere else for a regular toilet in that bathroom. That seems to be what they went with.
The bucket option?
Maybe we do some research after the show is over. Well, I don't want to drag it this direction on air.
Yes, we probably should wrap it up now. We've done a couple of hours. So, yeah. Thank you everyone for watching. We'll be back next month sometime. Oh, one thing you can do for me. Hang on. Let me do this while I think about it. I need to get the views up, my viewing hours up on my channel. So if you could be so good, I'm going to post a link. And if you can all just stick this video on in the background somewhere or something, you know, just to get me hours up, if you can. So it's a couple of hours video. Whoops. Oh, God, I've got to go to YouTube chat now, haven't I? How do I do that? Your channel. On my channel. Right, I'll just paste this in here. So if everyone can just go to this, you don't have to actually sit and watch it. Just let it play somewhere, you know? As many times as you can. You can right-click on it and select loop if you like. That'd be very helpful, and it will just help me get my viewing hours up. And if all 70 of you do it, I'll be pretty much there. That would be good.
Super chats, yay!
Anyway, yeah, I can have super chats again then. Anyway, now I've lost me script. So, join us again next month for more fabulous flatness. In the meantime, if you see something that you think should be included in the show, please post a timestamp link in the comments section of this video. Also, actually, I should also add this. You can find us now on BitChute. Look for Sunday Roast Ungagged on BitChute. I probably should get the link for that as well, shouldn't I? Should I get that? All right. That's where this show will be after tonight, because rather than just risk the, you know, the channel strikes, etc. Oh, bollocks. It's not taking me to my channel. How annoying. Hang on. Sorry about this, guys. I know it's all a bit crappy, isn't it? Oh, we're off. Oh, this is one of the videos. It'll get you there. It's close enough. Where's that guy? Oh, shit. You guys can talk amongst yourselves if you want while I make a mess of this. So, yeah, here is where you'll find us on BitChute if you want to watch us on BitChute. Anyway, which is actually the only way you can watch us if you haven't watched it live. Right, now I'm going to do the bye-bye thing. Right, if I can find that. Where is it? Here it is. It's on this one. So, if you see something you think should be included in the show, please post a timestamp link in the comments section of the video on BitChute. Or join our Discord server. The link is in the description. Yes, our Discord has over 3,000 members, and we managed to keep a conversation going virtually 24/7. We welcome members with opposing views, so click the link and join us. Thanks again to tonight's fabulous panel. Thanks to all of you for watching. We'll be back around this time in about a month. So until then, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share this video. Have a great evening. Thank you for watching. And if you're here in the panel, please stay silent until I tell you you can speak. Thank you very much.
Talking about it and do something! Suck my dick, Earth, with that bullshit. Really?
It's like a gentle hate. Do we have another benevolent star here? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Are you benevolent if your friend was?
My name is Logan Paul, and I think I'm coming out of the flat earth closet.
This is so fucking depressing. I can't be a flat earth person.
You can't have it both ways. You can't have a flat earth and things making sense.
And we're off.